Welcome to Wednesday. Today we're going to continue reading Beezus and Ramona. When we left off yesterday, they were just having a nice quiet day at home, and Ramona was running around yelling and singing about a party, and everyone assumed she was just being silly. But turns out everyone's showing up now, and she actually invited her whole class to a party at her house and didn't tell anyone at home. The doorbell rang again, and this time long and hard. There was the sound of many rubber boots jumping up and down on the porch. "Mother, we can't just have a party with our hair wet," wailed Beezus. "What else can we do?" Mother sounded desperate. "They're here, and we can't very well send them home. Their mothers have probably planned to shop or something while we look after them." Ramona struggled with the doorknob and managed to open the heavy front door. Mrs. Kemp stopped her car in front of the Quimby's, and Howie and Willa Jean hopped out. "I'll pick them up at 4," she called. "I'm so glad to have a chance to get out and do some shopping." Mother smiled weakly and looked at all the children on the porch. "Where do you suppose she found them all?" asked Beezus. "I don't even know some of them." "All right, children," Mother spoke firmly. "Leave your wet boots and raincoats on the porch. I've got a party," sung Ramona happily. Beezus, who had had plenty of experience with Ramona in her boots, knew where she was. There's all the kids for the party. Knew where she was needed. She started pulling off boots and unbuttoning raincoats. "What on earth shall we do with them on a day like this?" whispered Mother. Beezus grabbed a muddy boot. "Hold still," she said firmly to its owner. "They'll expect refreshments," she said. That's a fancy way to say snacks. "I know," said Mother. "You'll have to put on your coat and run down to the market." "Oh, no, you can't go out in this rain with your hair wet." Mother tugged at another boot. "I'll have to see what I can find in the kitchen." Beezus and her mother herded the wiggling, squiggling crowd into the front bedroom and went to work removing sweaters, jackets, caps, and mittens. In between, Beezus pulled 3 children out of the closet, dragged one out from under the bed, and snatched her mother's bottle of her best perfume from another. "All right, everyone, out of here," Beezus ordered when the last mitten was removed and her mother had hurried into the kitchen. "We'll go into the living room and do something," she finished lamely. "Ramona, bring some of your toys out of your room." "Bingo bongo bye," shouted Howie, just to make some noise. "Bingo bongo bye." The others joined in with great delight. There was such a noisy thing to yell. "Bingo bongo bye," they screamed at the tops of their voices as they scampered into the living room. "Bingo bongo bye." Howie grabbed the vacuum cleaner and turned on the switch and then charged across the room. "I'll suck you up," he shouted. "I'll suck up everyone with the vacuum cleaner." "Bingo bongo bye," shouted the others above the roar of the vacuum cleaner. One little girl began to cry. "I don't want to be sucked up by a vacuum cleaner," she sobbed. Willa Jean looking bulky because of the diapers and plastic pants under her overalls, clung to a chair and wept. Ramona appeared with her arms full of toys, but no one paid any attention to them. The vacuum cleaner was so much more fun. "I want to push the vacuum cleaner," screamed Susan, who lived in the next block. Ramona offered Susan her panda bear, but Susan did not want it. Ramona hit Susan with the panda bear. "You take my bear," she ordered. "This is my party, and you're supposed to do what I say." "I don't want your old bear," answered Susan. Beezus tried to grab the vacuum cleaner, but Howie was too quick for her. The room was getting uncomfortably hot, so Beezus started to the thermostat and turned down the heat. Then she dashed to the other side of the room and disconnected the noisy vacuum cleaner at the wall. It died with a noisy groan. Suddenly, everyone was quiet, waiting to see what would happen. "Hey," protested Howie, "you can't do that." Beezus frantically tried to think of some way to keep 15 small children busy and out of mischief. At least she thought there were 15. They didn't stand still long enough to be counted. "Where's the party?" one little boy asked. Ramona appeared with more toys, which she dumped on the floor. This time she brought a drum. Howie quickly lost interest in the vacuum cleaner and grabbed the drum. Beezus seized the vacuum cleaner and shoved it into the hall closet, while Howie began to beat on the drum. "I'm leading a parade," he said. "You are not," contradicted Ramona. "This is my party." Susan snatched a pink plastic horn and tooted it. "I'm in the parade too," she said. "I want to be in the parade. I want to be in the parade," cried the others. That was it. They could play parade. Beezus ran into the bedroom and found a whistle and a couple of horns left over from a Halloween party. What else could be used in a parade? Flags, of course. But what could she use for flags? Beezus thought fast. She gathered up 2 yardsticks and several rulers. Then she ran into the front bedroom and snatched some of her father's handkerchiefs from a drawer. She had to move fast before the children grew tired of the idea. I want to be in the parade, screamed the children. Mother, help me, cried Beezus. Somehow, Beezus and her mother got father's handkerchiefs tied to the sticks and distributed to the children who did not have noisemakers. Howie banged on the drum. Follow me, he ordered, beginning to march. The others followed, blowing whistles, tooting horns, and waving flags. No, screamed Ramona, who wanted to be the boss of her own party. You wanted a party, Mother reminded her. If your guests want to play parade, you better join them. Ramona scowled as she took a flag and joined the parade rather than be left out entirely at her own party. Playing parade was a wonderful idea, Mother smiled at Beezus. I hope it lasts. So do I, Beezus agreed. Bingo bongo bye, yelled the flag wavers. Howie led the parade, including a sulky Ramona, out into the living room, down the hall, through the kitchen, the dining room, and back into the living room. Willa Jean toddled along at the end of the procession. Beezus was afraid the parade might break up, but all the children appeared delighted with the game. Into the bedroom they marched, in and out again. Beezus opened the basement door. Down the steps, Howie led the parade. Willa Jean had to go down the steps backwards on her hands and knees. 3 times around the furnace marched the parade, and up the steps again before Willa Jean was halfway down. Beezus opened the door to the attic. Up the steps marched the parade. Stamp, stamp, stamp went their feet overhead. Stamp, stamp, stamp. Beezus remembered something Ramona had enjoyed when she was still in diapers. She lugged Willa Jean up the basement steps and set her in the middle of the kitchen floor and handed her the egg beater. There, don't step on her, she said to her mother. Thank goodness, said Mother. Maybe they'll play parade long enough for us to fix something for them to eat. What do we give them? Beezus asked. So this page is just pictures of kids in the parade. Mother laughed. This is a wonderful chance to get rid of all that applesauce. Let's hurry and get it ready before they tire of their game. Get the colored paper napkins out of the cupboard, and oh dear, what shall we do for chairs? They can sit on the floor, suggested Beezus, looking through the cupboard for napkins. I guess they'll have to. Mother took the applesauce out of the refrigerator. If we put a couple of sheets down for them to sit on, maybe they won't get applesauce on the rug. The parade tramped down the attic stairs and through the kitchen. But Mother, said Beezus, when the drum and horns had disappeared into the basement again, the only napkins I can find are for St. Valentine's Day and Halloween. They won't do. They'll have to, said Mother. Beezus spread 2 sheets in the middle of the living room floor. Then she went into the kitchen to help Mother, who was tearing open 3 boxes of Fig Newtons. It's a good thing I bought these on sale last week, she remarked. Are we going to give them lemonade or anything to drink? Beezus asked. Not in my living room rug. Mother rapidly spooned applesauce into dishes. Applesauce and Fig Newtons are bad enough. Maybe if we feed them right away, some of them will think the party's over and go home. Beezus piled Fig Newtons onto 2 plates. I hope so. This many small children in the house on a rainy day is too much. The parade stamped across the attic floor again, and Mother had to raise her voice to make herself heard. It sounded as if they were coming through the ceiling. Let's catch them the next time they come through the kitchen and hand out the applesauce, Beezus shouted back. Then maybe we can get them to march into the living room. It was not long before Howie led the parade into the kitchen again. He stopped so suddenly that the children bumped into one another. When do we eat? He demanded. Now. Beezus thrust a dish of applesauce and a spoon into his hand. I want some, cried the others. Mother handed a second child some applesauce. Forward march, she ordered. Beezus led Howie out of the living room, and the rest of the parade followed with their applesauce. You sit there, she said to Howie, pointing to a place on a sheet. She was relieved to see that the others seated themselves around the edge of the sheet. Quickly she handed around paper napkins. I want one with witches on it, demanded a boy who had a Valentine's Day napkin. I want one with hearts on it, wailed a girl who had a Halloween napkin. Beezus hastily counted the napkins. Yes, there were enough of each kind to go around. 2 napkins apiece would be safer anyway. She handed each child a second napkin, and they all began to eat their applesauce, except one little girl who didn't like applesauce. Ramona was beaming, because refreshments were the most important part of any party, and now her guests were behaving the way she wanted them to. Mother came out of the kitchen with plates of Fig Newtons, and she handed them to Beezus. Here, pass these around, she said. I think I'd better help Willa Jean. Willa Jean knew how to eat with a spoon. The trouble was, she had to pick up the food with her left hand and put it on the spoon, which she held in her right hand. Then most of the time she was able to get it into her mouth. Ramona, her face shining with happiness, looked at her friends, sharing their applesauce. The cookies are filled with worms, chopped up worms, she gleefully told everyone. Why, Ramona, Beezus was shocked. They aren't either. They're filled with ground up figs. You know that. Ramona did not answer. Her mouth was full of Fig Newtons. Beezus passed the plate to a boy named Joey. I don't like worms, he said. I don't like worms, said the next little girl, who had applesauce all over her chin. Beezus noticed that Ramona was beginning to scowl. When Howie refused a cookie, it was too much for Ramona. You eat that, she shouted. I won't, said Howie. You can't make me. Ramona jumped up, spilling her applesauce on the sheet. She thrust a nibbled fig Newton at Howie. You eat that, she repeated as she stepped into the applesauce. It's my party and I want you to eat it. Howie knocked the cookie out of her hand. Ramona grabbed a handful of fig Newtons and thrust them at Susan. Eat these, she shouted. Susan began to cry. They're full of worms, she sobbed. I don't like worms. They're pretend worms, yelled Ramona. No, they're not, cried Susan. They're real. You eat these, Ramona yelled, thrusting her handful of cookies at the children, who backed away. Ramona stamped her feet and screamed. Then she threw the fig Newtons at her guest as hard as she could. She is not a very good party host. Mother won't let me eat worms, shouted a little boy. Ramona threw herself on the floor and kicked. Ramona, stop that. Mother appeared in the kitchen with Willa Jean balanced on one hip. She grabbed Ramona by one arm and tried to drag her to her feet, but Ramona's legs were like rubber. All right, Howie, march forward, Beezus ordered, hoping to draw attention away from Ramona. No one moved. It was much more fun to see what was going to happen to Ramona. This is my party. They're supposed to eat the refreshments, Ramona howled, banging her heels on the floor. Ramona, you're acting like a 2-year-old. You may go to your room and close the door until you can behave yourself, said Mother quietly. We will see what happens with Ramona tomorrow.